Silk. That was my first conscious thought as awareness crept back into my foggy brain. Silk sheets against my skin, cool and expensive in a way I'd never experienced in my cramped studio apartment above the bookstore. My eyes snapped open. Wrong ceiling, wrong room, wrong everything. The bedroom around me looked like something from an architecture magazine floor to ceiling windows overlooking a city skyline. I recognized, but had never seen from this height, minimalist furniture that probably cost more than my yearly salary, and art on the walls that seemed important in a way I couldn't articulate through my pounding headache. I sat up slowly, my body protesting the movement. I wasn't hungover. I'd only had one glass of wine last night at that wine bar. Just one glass with that charming stranger who'd recommended the Bordeaux and talked about Hemingway like he actually understood the subtext. My left hand felt heavy. I looked down and my heart stopped. A platinum wedding band sat on my ring finger, simple but clearly expensive, with a single diamond embedded in the metal. Next to it, a matching engagement ring I definitely hadn't been wearing yesterday. Or ever. No. The word came out as a whisper, then louder. No, no, no. I scrambled out of bed, nearly tripping over the hem of an ivory silk nightgown I didn't remember putting on. My bare feet hit heated marble floors as I spun around, taking in details I'd missed in my panic. A wedding bouquet wilting on the dresser, 2 champagne flutes with lipstick on one rim, and my stomach lurched. A framed photograph on the nightstand. Me and him. The stranger from the wine bar. Both dressed formally, his arm around my waist, my hand displaying these rings as I smiled at the camera like I meant it. I grabbed the frame with shaking hands. We were standing in what looked like a chapel. There were flowers. Witnesses in the background. This wasn't photoshopped. This was real. What did you do? I whispered to my smiling face in the photo. What did we do? We got married. I spun so fast I dropped the frame. It hit the floor with a crack, glass splintering across the marble. He stood in the doorway like he belonged there because he did, I realized with creeping horror. This was his home. He wore black slacks and a white dress shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows. Holding 2 cups of coffee like this was a normal morning, like I was supposed to be here. Good morning, Mrs. Santoro. His voice was smooth, cultured, with an edge of satisfaction that made my skin crawl. I was hoping you'd sleep longer, but I suppose we have a lot to discuss. Who are you? My voice came out steadier than I felt. Dominic. He set both cups on the dresser, moving with the fluid confidence of a man completely in control. Though you called me Dom last night. Quite enthusiastically, if I recall. I don't remember anything after the wine bar, don't you? He moved closer and I backed up until my legs hit the bed. The walk through the city. The way you laughed when I suggested Vegas was overrated. How you said you'd always wanted a small wedding. Intimate, just the 2 of us. That's not IWOULDN single quotes T dot dot, wouldn't you? He pulled his phone from his pocket, turning the screen toward me. A video played me in a simple white dress, holding his hand, saying I do with clear eyes and a genuine smile. No slurring, no confusion. Just me, choosing this. Impossible. I need to leave. I moved toward the door, but he didn't stop me. That should have been reassuring. It wasn't. The door's locked, he said calmly. Biometric security. Only recognizes my fingerprint and, as of this morning, yours. I tried the handle anyway. It didn't budge. Let me out. Now, sit down, and I'll explain everything. Explain? You kidnapped me. You came willingly. The video proves it. He gestured to the coffee. But I understand you're confused, disoriented. So let me help clarify your situation. He walked to the dresser and pulled out a leather portfolio, laying it on the bed between us like a offering. When I didn't move, he opened it himself. Photographs spilled out. Dozens of them. Me leaving my bookstore. Me at the grocery store. Me running in the park. Me through my apartment window reading in bed. All dated, all time-stamped. The earliest was from 8 months ago. Welcome home, Mrs. Santoro, he said, his dark eyes meeting mine with an intensity that froze me in place. We have a lot to discuss about the past 8 months. I couldn't stop staring at the photographs. My hands trembled as I picked up image after image, each one a violation I hadn't known was happening. Me laughing with a customer at the bookstore counter 6 months ago. Me buying tomatoes at the farmer's market 5 months ago. Me crying on a park bench after my mother's cancer diagnosis 3 months ago. He'd been there, watching, documenting, learning me like I was a subject he needed to master. You're insane! I threw the photos at him, but they just scattered across the marble like autumn leaves. This is stalking. This is illegal. This is thorough, Dominic interrupted, unbothered by my outburst. He picked up one of the photos, me sleeping, visible through my apartment window, and studied it like it was art. I don't make investments without research. Especially not lifetime investments. I'm not an investment. I'm a person. You're my wife. He said it so simply, like it was a fact as basic as gravity. And I needed to know everything before I made you mine. Your favorite coffee order vanilla oat milk latte, extra hot. The books you read when you're sad poetry, usually Narutha. How you bite your lip when you're concentrating. The way you hum when you think no one's listening. Each detail felt like a hand around my throat, squeezing tighter. That doesn't explain last night. I would never agree to marry a stranger, wouldn't you? He moved to a cabinet and pulled out an iPad, tapping the screen before handing it to me. Watch. The video showed the wine bar from last night, but from a different angle. Me sitting alone, looking tired and beautiful in the way he'd probably memorized. Then him approaching, all charm and sophistication. We talked, laughed. He ordered another round, but I only had one glass. I remembered that clearly. Keep watching, he murmured, too close now. On screen I saw myself stand up, steady, clear-eyed. He offered his hand and I took it. We walked out together and I was smiling. You weren't drugged, Dominic said quietly. No rohypnol, no manipulation beyond conversation. You came with me willingly, because I spent 8 months learning exactly what you needed to hear. Exactly how to make you feel seen. My stomach turned. Somehow that was worse than being drugged. He'd weaponized intimacy. The marriage certificate is real, he continued. Signed by both of us, witnessed, completely legal. We flew to a private chapel in the mountains. You said it was the most romantic thing anyone had ever done for you. I wanted to scream that he was lying, but the video didn't lie. My signature was on those documents. My voice had said those vows. Where's my phone? I needed to call someone. My mother. My brother. The police. Disposed of. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a new smartphone, sleek and expensive. This is your phone now. Pre-programmed with my number. You can call me anytime. I always answer. What about everyone else? Who else do you need? The question was genuine, curious. Your mother? Your brother? They're both doing wonderfully, by the way. Ice flooded my veins. What did you do? Nothing threatening, I assure you. He guided me to sit on the bed, his hand on my lower back, proprietary and gentle. Your brother's college tuition, all 4 years paid in full as of this morning. Your mother's mortgage. Cleared. The medical bills from her treatment. Gone. I took care of everything. That's blackmail. That's protection. His fingers traced my jawline and I jerked away. You were drowning in debt, working 60-hour weeks, sacrificing everything for them. Now you don't have to. Now they're safe. Secure. All you have to do is stay here and play the part. What part? The devoted wife. He stood, buttoning his cuffs with practiced ease. 1 year. Attend events with me. Live in this penthouse. Let the world see us as a happily married couple. After that, if you truly want to leave, we'll discuss options. And if I refuse? If I run right now? His smile didn't reach his eyes. You can hate me all you want, but your family is finally safe. You just have to play along. The penthouse was a gilded cage spread across the entire top floor of a building I couldn't afford to look at, let alone live in. Dominic gave me the tour like a realtor showing off a prize property, pointing out amenities I'd never asked for, a library with first editions I'd drooled over in catalogues, a kitchen that could feed 20, a walk-in closet already filled with clothes in my exact size, How did you know what I wear? I asked, running my fingers over cashmere and silk. 8 months of observation. He said it like it was romantic instead of terrifying. You prefer jewel tones. Emerald green especially. You hate anything tight around your neck. Size 6 shoes, though you usually buy size 7 because you think your feet are too big. They were too big. How did he know that insecurity? This is too much. This is the minimum of what you deserve. He opened a drawer filled with lingerie that made me slam it shut immediately. Rosa will help you settle in. She's discreet. As if summoned, an older woman appeared in the doorway. Silver-haired and kind-faced, she looked at me with sympathy that suggested she knew exactly how I'd ended up here. "Mrs. Santoro," she said gently. "Welcome. I've prepared lunch if you're hungry." "I'm not—" "She eat," Dominic interrupted. "She skips meals when she's stressed. Make sure she doesn't." Rosa nodded like this was normal, like tracking a stranger's eating habits was just part of the job description. After she left, I turned on him. What is this really about? Why go through all this trouble for someone like me? "Someone like you," he repeated, something dangerous flickering in his eyes. "A woman who works herself to exhaustion for her family. Who reads poetry to sick children at the hospital on Sundays. Who told off a man twice her size for being rude to an elderly customer." He stepped closer. "You think I chose you randomly? I think you're obsessed. Correct. No shame in the admission. But that's not the only reason." He led me to his office, all dark wood and leather, with security monitors covering one wall. My stomach dropped when I recognized one of the camera feeds, my bookstore. "2 weeks ago," he said, pulling up archived footage. "These men spent 3 hours watching your store. The video showed 2 men in dark suits, standing across the street, eyes locked on the entrance. On me, visible through the window, ringing up customers and shelving books. Who are they? The Marchetti family. Rivals of the Santorios." He fast-forwarded to another date. The same men, closer this time. They were building a profile, planning something. My mouth went dry. "Planning what?" "To take you." He said it flatly, clinically. "They discovered I'd been interested in you. They were going to kidnap you, use you as leverage against my family. So I moved up my timeline." "Your timeline to do what?" "To make you untouchable." He turned from the screens to face me. "As my wife, you're protected by the Santoro name. No one can touch you without starting a war. The marriage isn't just about what I want. It's about keeping you alive. You're saying you married me to protect me from enemies I didn't know existed, because you stalked me first." My voice pitched higher. "That's insane. That's my world." He moved closer, backing me against the desk. "And you're in it now, whether you like it or not. The Marchettis know we're married. The announcement went out this morning. Every family in the city knows you're mine. I'm not yours." His hand came up to cut my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone with devastating gentleness. "Yes, you are. You have been since the moment I walked into your bookstore 8 months ago, and you recommended a book without looking up from your inventory. You told me if I wanted attention I should try the cafe next door. I remembered that. Remembered being rude to an entitled-looking customer because I was tired and behind on work. That was you. That was me falling in love with someone who didn't care about my money or my name." His eyes burned into mine. "You saw me as an annoyance. Do you know how rare that is in my world? So you married me against my will. Why would they target me? We weren't even—" the words stuck in my throat. "We weren't anything yet," he finished, his voice dropping to something intimate and possessive. "But I was already yours." The memory hit me while I was staring at the security footage, watching those men observe my bookstore. 8 months ago, Tuesday morning. A customer had come in just as I was opening, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit that screamed money. He'd browsed the poetry section for 20 minutes before bringing a first edition Neruda to the counter. "Do you have this in a reading copy?" he'd asked. "I prefer books I can actually hold without worrying about their value." I'd loved him for that, just a little. "You," I whispered now, turning to face Dominic in his office. "The Neruda customer. That was you. His smile was answer enough. And the Tuesday after that, and the one after that. My mind raced, puzzle pieces clicking into place with horrible clarity. For 2 months, every Tuesday at 10 a.m, you bought a book from me. You noticed I thought you were just a good customer. The betrayal tasted bitter. You asked about my recommendations. We talked about Hemingway's subtext and whether Fitzgerald was overrated. I stopped, hating how stupid I sounded. I thought we were becoming friends. We were. He stepped closer, and I hated that I didn't back away. Those conversations were real, Isabella. Your insights, your passion for books, the way you lit up when discussing literature. I couldn't fake my responses to that, but you could fake everything else. 6 months ago, the rainstorm. I'd been carrying boxes of new inventory from the delivery truck when the sky opened up. Within seconds, I was drenched, struggling with cardboard that was dissolving in my hands. Then he was their expensive suit getting ruined as he grabbed half the boxes. "Let me help," he'd said, like a gentleman, like a good Samaritan, not like a stalker executing a plan. The rainstorm wasn't a coincidence, I said now, my voice flat. I knew the forecast. I knew your delivery schedule. No apology in his tone. You needed help. I provided it, and the book recommendations. The ones you made before I could mention them. I'd watched you inventory them the week prior. He was so calm, so matter-of-fact about the violation. Through your store window, you always shelved new arrivals with this expression of pure joy. I wanted to be part of that joy. A knock on the office door interrupted us. A man entered, late 40s, built like a brick wall, with a face that had seen violence and inflicted more. "Marcus," Dominic said. "My wife needs an appropriate dress for dinner tonight. Have Rosa handle it." "Dinner?" I repeated. "With my uncle. The family wants to meet you." He checked his watch. Expensive. Understated. "We leave in 2 hours. Wear the emerald dress Rosa selects. It brings out your eyes." The restaurant wasn't listed anywhere. No sign outside, no website, just an unmarked door in Little Italy that opened only when Dominic knocked in a specific pattern. Inside, the lighting was dim, the tables spread far apart for privacy, and every single person who looked up when we entered had dead eyes and expensive suits. This was where predators dined, Dominic. An older man rose from a corner table, arms spread wide, silver-haired with Dominic's same dark eyes but harder, colder. And this must be the bride who's caused such a stir. Uncle Sal. Dominic's hand pressed against my lower back, guiding me forward. "May I present my wife, Isabella?" Sal took my hand, pressing his lips to my knuckles in an old-world gesture. His eyes assessed me like livestock. Beautiful. Younger than I expected, and not from our world, I understand. "She's a bookseller," Dominic said, pride in his voice that I didn't understand. "Intelligent, cultured, exactly what this family needs. A bookseller." Sal's smile didn't reach his eyes. How ... quaint. Through dinner, I met them. The real powers behind the Santoro name. Men who spoke in euphemisms about shipping routes and territorial disagreements while cutting prime rib with silver knives. Women dripping in diamonds who smiled with their mouths but calculated with their eyes. A younger woman, mid-20s, stunning in white, appeared at our table during dessert. "Dom," she purred, ignoring me completely. "I heard you'd finally settled down." "How unexpected, Gianna." Dominic's voice cooled 10 degrees. "My wife, Isabella. Isabella, this is Gianna Marchetti." Marchetti. The rival family. Oh, the little bookseller. Gianna's smile was razor-sharp. "Everyone's talking about Dominic's sudden charity case. Marrying so far beneath your station, people are wondering what she has that's worth the embarrassment." The table went silent. All eyes on me, waiting to see if I'd crumble. I stood, matching her smile with one just as sharp. "What I have is his ring, his name, and his complete devotion. What do you have, Gianna?" besides jealousy and last season's Valentino. Her face went white, then red. Dominic's hand found mine under the table, squeezing once. Later in the car he pulled me against him, lips brushing my ear. You're either a natural liar, or you're starting to believe the part. I closed my eyes, hating the truth. Both work for me. The alarm woke me at 3 a.m., a high-pitched shriek that had me bolting upright in the darkness. Red emergency lights flooded the penthouse, painting everything in shades of blood. Dominic was already moving, pulling on pants with trained efficiency. Stay in this room. Lock the door behind me. What's happening? Someone's trying to get in. He grabbed a gun from the nightstand, draw casual. Practiced like it was always there. Of course it was always there. Do what I say, Isabella. He was gone before I could argue. I locked the door with shaking hands, then immediately pressed my ear against it, straining to hear. Footsteps, shouting, then gunshots, sharp cracks that made my whole body flinch. More shouting. A scream cut short. The wet sound of impact against flesh. Then silence. Don't know how long I stood there, heart hammering before the knock came. Isabella. Open the door. Dominic's voice, but I hesitated. What if it wasn't really him? What if it's me, baby? I promise. Open the door, baby. He'd never called me that before. My hands fumbled with the lock. The door swung open, and there he was. Shirtless, splattered with blood that definitely wasn't his, breathing hard but utterly calm. Behind him, Marcus and 2 other men dragged bodies toward the elevator. Bodies. Are they? My voice cracked. Dead? Yes. He stepped inside, closing the door on the scene. They won't be bothering anyone again. I should have screamed. Should have run. Should have done anything except stand there staring at the blood on his hands. His chest, speckling his face like grotesque freckles. You killed them. They broke into my home. Threatened what's mine. His eyes found mine, dark and feral. What did you expect me to do? Call the police? Normal people call the police. I'm not normal people. He moved to the bathroom, turning on the sink. Water ran pink, then red, then clear as he scrubbed his hands. And neither are you. Not anymore. I followed without thinking, watching him wash away evidence of violence like it was just another Tuesday. Who were they? Marchetti's men. Probably retaliation for your little performance at dinner. He caught my expression in the mirror. Don't look like that. This is my world. Violence is the language we speak. I didn't ask for this world. No. You asked for your mother's medical bills to be paid. Your brother's education secured. Freedom from drowning in debt. He turned to face me, water dripping from his hands. Every choice has a price, Isabella. This is yours. The adrenaline was fading, leaving me shaky and strange. I should have been horrified, disgusted. Instead, I felt something else entirely, a dark thrill knowing he'd killed for me without hesitation. What's wrong with me? I whispered. Oh, nothing. He stepped closer, reaching for me, then stopping when he saw the blood still on his forearms. Everything about this situation is wrong, but nothing about you is. I watched you kill 3 men, and I'm not running. I'm not even crying. I met his eyes. I'm standing here thinking about how you protected me and feeling I couldn't finish. Safe? He offered quietly. Wanted. The word escaped before I could stop it. You killed for me. Been obsessed with me for 8 months. You appended your entire life to marry me. I've never been anyone's priority before. Ever. He closed the distance between us, cupping my face with wet hands. I saw you 8 months ago pouring coffee on that drunk businessman who grabbed you. You stood there, 5'0", telling a man twice your size that if he touched you again, you'd make him regret being born. Do you remember what you said after? I shook my head. You apologized to the other customers for the disruption, not to him, to them, for having to witness his behavior. His thumb traced my cheekbone. You were strong, fearless, and completely alone. No backup, no protection. Just you against the world. And I knew then I had to have you. That's not love. That's obsession. With you, they're the same thing. His forehead pressed against mine. I should be terrified of you. You are. His breath ghosted across my lips. But that's not all you feel, is it? The dress arrived that afternoon in a box lined with tissue paper emerald silk that caught the light like water. Rosa helped me into it, zipping up the back while I stared at my reflection. I looked like someone else. Someone who belonged in Dominic's world. You're beautiful, Mrs. Santoro, Rosa said softly. He'll be very proud. Proud. Like I was an acquisition he could show off. But when Dominic saw me, the look on his face wasn't pride. It was possession mixed with something raw, hungrier. He circled me slowly, drinking in every detail. Perfect. His hand settled on my waist, burning through the silk. Every man in that ballroom will want you, and every single one will know you're mine. The charity gala was held at a historic hotel all marble. Columns and crystal chandeliers, with champagne flowing and diamonds glittering on every woman's throat. Photographers lined the entrance, cameras flashing as we stepped out of the car. Smile, Dominic murmured against my ear. We're in love, remember? I smiled, let him guide me with a hand on my lower back. Laughed at something he whispered, and when the cameras clicked, I looked at him like he'd hung the moon instead of stalked me for 8 months. The performance came easier than it should have. Inside, the room was full of sharks in evening wear. I recognized faces from the restaurant, Uncle Sal holding court near the bar, Gianna Marchetti shooting daggers from across the room. Men and women who smiled with their mouths while their eyes calculated net worth and weakness. Stay close, Dominic said, introducing me to an endless stream of families whose names I'd never remember. Everyone was polite. Too polite. The kind of politeness that hid knives. An hour in, I excused myself to the restroom. Marcus followed at a discreet distance, my permanent shadow. But when I emerged, an older man blocked my path. 70, maybe? With silver hair and a smile that didn't reach his cold eyes. Mrs. Santoro. He took my hand before I could pull away. Tony Baldini. I knew your husband's father. Shame what happened to him. I didn't know what happened to Dominic's father. Another gap in my knowledge of the man I'd married. Lovely to meet you, I said carefully. Walk with me a moment. It wasn't a request. He guided me toward a quiet alcove away from Marcus's line of sight. I wanted to discuss your unique position. I don't understand. His grip on my arm tightened. You're young. Naive. Probably think Dominic married you for love. His laugh was ugly. Men like him don't love, sweetheart. We acquire, and when he's done with you, when the novelty wears off, you'll be just another discarded toy. Let go of me. Someone should teach you how to behave in our world. How to show proper respect to your betters. His other hand came up toward my face. Maybe I should be the one to... He never finished the sentence. Dominic appeared like a storm, yanking Baldini away from me with such force the older man stumbled. The entire ballroom went silent, conversations dying mid-sentence as every eye turned to watch. Touch my wife again, Dominic said, voice deadly calm. And I'll cut off every finger on that hand. I was just threatening her. Dominic stepped forward, forcing Baldini back against the wall. In my presence. Do you have any idea how stupid that is? Uncle Sal materialized between them, hands raised. Dominic, not here. Not now. He touched her. Each word was a bullet. I know. But starting a war in a ballroom full of witnesses isn't smart. Sal's eyes cut to Baldini. Tony will apologize. Won't you, Tony? Baldini's face was purple with rage and humiliation. My apologies, Mrs. Santoro. I meant no disrespect. The words were right. The tone was poison. Dominic looked ready to kill him anyway. I could see it in the tension of his shoulders, the white-knuckle grip of his fists. One word from me and blood would spill on marble floors. Dominic. I touched his arm, drawing his attention. I'm fine. Let it go. His eyes searched mine. Then slowly, he stepped back. Baldini disappeared into the crowd. Sal followed, already on his phone, probably doing damage control. And I stood there with my hand still on Dominic's arm, realizing something terrifying. I hadn't been afraid for myself during that confrontation. I'd been afraid for him, afraid he'd start a war and get himself killed. You defended me, I whispered as he pulled me close, his heart hammering against my palm. I defended my wife. There's a difference. I looked up at him, this beautiful, dangerous man who destroyed my life to rebuild it around himself. Is there? The coffee shop was neutral territory, a place from my old life where I used to meet Jenna every Sunday morning. Now, 3 weeks after waking up married, I sat across from my best friend while Marcus watched from a table near the door. You look different, Jenna said, studying me with worried eyes. Expensive. Like you're wearing a costume. I glanced down at my cashmere sweater and designer jeans. She wasn't wrong. A lot has changed. You disappeared. Her voice cracked. No warning, no explanation. Just a text saying you'd gotten married and moved. Who does that, Bella? Someone who fell in love quickly. The lie tasted bitter. Bullshit. She leaned forward, lowering her voice. I know you. You don't fall quickly. You analyze, overthink, make pro-con lists. This isn't you. Dominic had approved this meeting, but only under his terms. Public location, Marcus present, 1 hour maximum. He was probably listening through whatever device Marcus wore, hearing every word. People change, I said carefully. In 3 weeks? You changed your entire personality in 3 weeks? Jenna grabbed my hand, and I saw her notice the ring, the obscene diamond that screamed possession. Tell me the truth. Are you safe? Is he hurting you? No, he's never hurt me. Then why do you have a bodyguard following you to a coffee date with your best friend? Her eyes cut to Marcus, then back to me. Why haven't you called? Why did your number change? Why does this feel like I'm visiting someone in witness protection? Because that's essentially what it was. Protection from a threat I hadn't known existed. It's complicated. Then uncomplicate it. She squeezed my hand. If you need help, if you need to get out, I can help you. We can go to the police right now. My car's outside. Just say the word. I should have said it. Should have run while I had the chance. Escape back to my small life where the biggest danger was aggressive customers and overdue rent. But I thought about my mother's mortgage cleared. My brother's tuition paid. The Marchetti men who'd watched my bookstore planning God knows what. Dominic's face when Baldini touched me, ready to start a war over a perceived threat. I don't need saving, I heard myself say. Everyone needs saving from something. Let me help you. You don't understand. Dominic, he's not what you think. Then what is he? She pulled out her phone, showing me search results. Because Google says he's connected to organized crime, that his family runs half the city's import business, that his father was murdered in a territorial dispute. Her voice dropped to a whisper. He's dangerous, Bella. I know what he is. And you married him anyway? He's kept me safer than I've ever been. The words came out defensive, protective. When did that happen? My family's taken care of. I don't work myself to exhaustion anymore. I'm not alone. You're isolated. That's different. Jenna's eyes filled with tears. This is textbook abuse. The gifts, the control, the cutting you off from your old life. He hasn't cut me off. I'm here, aren't I? With a guard. On a timer. Probably being recorded. She wasn't wrong. This isn't freedom, Bella. This is a cage with better furniture. I pulled my hand away. You're being dramatic. I'm being realistic. And you're defending a man who what? Swept you off your feet so completely you abandoned everyone who actually cares about you. She wiped her eyes angrily. The Bella I know wouldn't do this. So either he's manipulated you, or you're lying to protect him. Which is it? Both. Neither. I didn't know anymore. My hour's up, I said, standing. I should go. Bella, please. She stood too, desperate. If you won't leave, at least promise you'll call me. Real calls, not monitored texts. Promise me you're actually okay. I wanted to promise. Wanted to tell her everything, the surveillance photos, The forced marriage, the bodies in my penthouse hallway. But Marcus was standing now, moving closer, and I knew my time was done. I'm happy, I said instead. I know you don't believe me, but I am. Then why are you crying? I touched my face. She was right. When had I started crying? Jenna pulled me into a hug, whispering against my ear. When you're ready to run, call me, day or night. I'll come get you. But as I walked away, Marcus guiding me to the waiting car where Dominic sat in the back seat, I realized something that made my chest tight with confused emotion. I didn't want to run. Your friend thinks I'm abusing you, Dominic said as the car pulled away. Are you? He considered this seriously. I've taken your freedom, monitored your movements, isolated you from your old life. By most definitions, yes, but you did it to protect me, did I? His dark eyes met mine. Or did I do it because I'm selfish and couldn't stand the thought of you with anyone else? Of you living a life I wasn't part of? My throat tightened. So you married me to save me? I married you because I'm selfish, he said quietly. Saving you was just convenient. The envelope appeared on my pillow exactly 1 year after I woke up married. Inside, annulment papers, already filled out, needing only my signature. A passport with my photo, but a different name. Bank account details showing a balance that would let me disappear anywhere in the world. And a note in Dominic's elegant handwriting. You have 48 hours to decide. Whatever you choose, your family remains protected. No conditions. I found him in his office, staring out at the city skyline with a tumbler of whiskey in his hand. You're serious? I held up the papers. Completely. He didn't turn around. 1 year was the agreement. I'm honoring it. And if I leave, then you leave. His voice was carefully neutral. New identity, new life, enough money to start over. I'll have men watching from a distance to ensure your safety, but you'll be free of me. Just like that? Just like that? He finally turned, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Fear. I told you I'm selfish, Isabella, but I'm not a monster. If you want out, I won't stop you. 48 hours. 2 days to decide the rest of my life. I spent the first day revisiting my old world. Marcus drove me to my former apartment building, smaller than I remembered, shabbier. My old neighbor was moving out, complaining about the rent increase she couldn't afford, a rent I'd struggled with for years. The bookstore had a new owner. Through the window, I watched her reorganize the poetry section I'd curated. She was doing it wrong, putting Plath before Narutha alphabetically instead of thematically. It shouldn't have bothered me. It did. I visited my mother, who greeted me with tears and joy, still believing I was living abroad for work. She looked healthier than she had in years. No more pain lines around her eyes. No more worry about medical bills. Your husband is wonderful, she said, showing me photos Dominic had sent her. Us at various events, looking happy, looking real, taking such good care of you. Your father would have approved. My father would have hated this, wouldn't he? Mum, if I told you something about my marriage, you're having doubts. She took my hand, the same hand that wore Dominic's ring. Every marriage has adjustments, sweetheart, especially in the first year. But he loves you. I can see it in these photos. Could she? Or was Dominic just that good at performance? That night, I walked through the old neighborhood where I used to feel unsafe. Marcus followed 20 feet behind, but I pretended I was alone, testing the waters of freedom. A car pulled up beside me. Black sedan, tinted windows. The back door opened. Mrs. Santoro. Gianna Marchetti smiled from the leather interior. Get in. We should talk. I don't think so. I'm offering you a better deal than Dominic did. She gestured to the seat beside her. 5 minutes. What's the harm? Marcus was already moving closer, hand inside his jacket. But I was curious. I got in. Smart girl. Gianna poured 2 glasses of wine from a built-in bar. I know about the annulment papers. Dominic's little gesture of freedom. How do you... We have sources everywhere. Even in the Santoro household. She handed me a glass. Here's the truth. He didn't tell you. You're never getting out. Not really. You know too much. You've seen too much. The moment you sign those papers, you become a liability. My blood ran cold. He promised. He promised protection, and he'll deliver. But protection means surveillance. Guards watching your new life. Never truly alone, never truly free. She sipped her wine. Unless you come work for us. Work for you. Information. Insight into Santoro operations. In exchange, we give you real freedom. Real protection. And when the war comes, and it will come, you'll be on the winning side. You want me to betray him. I want you to survive. Gianna leaned closer. He's obsessed with you now, but obsessions fade. What happens when he finds a new fixation? When you're no longer shiny and interesting? You think he'll just let you walk away with everything you know? I set down the wine, untouched. Take me back to Marcus. Think about it, Gianna called as I opened the door. You have 48 hours to decide your future. Make sure you're choosing the right one. Back in the penthouse, I found Dominic exactly where I'd left him, still staring out at the city. Gianna Marchetti just offered me a deal, I said. He closed his eyes. What did she offer? Freedom. Real freedom, she said. In exchange for information about your family. And are you considering it? His voice was carefully controlled, but I heard the tension underneath. I walked to him, close enough to feel his warmth. I can't sign these papers. He turned slowly, hope and fear warring on his face. Why not? Because you were right. I'm in your world now, whether I like it or not. The Marchettis know my face. Other families know my name. Even with a new identity. I'd spend my whole life looking over my shoulder. That's not a reason to stay. No. I took the annulment papers and tore them in half. I'm already yours. The torn annulment papers scattered across Dominic's office floor like snow. Stared at them, then at me, something raw and unguarded crossing his face. Say it again, he demanded, voice rough. I'm staying. Not because of blackmail or protection, or my family. I stepped closer, closing the distance he'd maintained for 48 hours. Because I choose you. His control shattered. He pulled me against him, crushing me to his chest, face buried in my hair. I was prepared to let you go, he whispered. Had everything arranged, new life, new identity, and it was going to destroy me. Then why offer it? Because loving you means wanting you happy, even if that happiness doesn't include me. He pulled back, cupping my face with shaking hands. But God, Isabella, I'm glad you're staying. Show me everything. The words came out steadier than I felt. If I'm choosing this life, I want to know all of it. The business, the families, the real rules. No more protection through ignorance. Something shifted in his eyes, respect, maybe, or recognition. You're sure? I'm terrified. But yes, the next week my education began. Dominic took me to meetings I wasn't supposed to see, sat me beside him while he negotiated territory disputes and shipping routes. Explained the intricate web of families, alliances, and blood feuds that governed his world. The Marchettis want the harbour, he said, pointing to a map spread across his desk. They've been pushing for 2 years. If we give them an inch, they'll take the whole dock system, I finished, studying the territories. But you can't push back without angering the Baldinis, who use the harbour for their imports. He smiled, proud and possessive. Quick study. I read the files you left in the library. 300 pages of family histories, business arrangements, and carefully documented grudges. Tony Baldini's father was killed in a dock dispute in 1987. He's been waiting 30 years for revenge. And now you understand why he touched you at the gala. It wasn't just disrespect, it was testing whether I'd choose you over keeping peace with his family. You chose me. I'll always choose you. He pulled me into his lap, hands settling possessively on my waist. Every time, even when it's stupid. That afternoon I met the other wives. Rosa introduced me to a world I'd only glimpsed at galas, women who'd married into violence and learned to navigate it. They gathered in a private room at an upscale restaurant, drinking wine and discussing territory like other women discussed book clubs. "The first year is hardest," said Angela, married to Uncle Sal for 30 years. "You'll think you're going crazy. The surveillance, the guards, the constant awareness of danger." "Does it get easier?" I asked. "No, but you get stronger." She refilled my glass. "And you learn to use what you have. We're not powerless, Isabella. We're their weakness, yes, but also their greatest strength. The families that protect their women fiercely are the ones that survive. That's what Gianna Marchetti said, that I'd always be a liability." The room went silent. "Gianna approached you?" Angela's voice sharpened. "When?" "I told them about the car, the offer, the warning about Dominic's fading obsession." "That bitch." A younger wife, Sophia, laughed bitterly. "She tried the same thing with me 3 years ago. It's what they do. Drive wedges between husbands and wives, turn protection into paranoia. Is she right, though? About the obsession fading?" Angela studied me with knowing eyes. "Has it faded for you?" I thought about the past year, the anger that had shifted to understanding, the fear that had transformed into something darker, hungrier, the way my pulse raced when Dominic walked into a room, the way I craved his touch even when I hated myself for it. "No," I admitted quietly. "Then you have your answer. This kind of love obsessive, possessive, probably unhealthy, doesn't fade, it consumes. The question is whether you're willing to burn." That night, Dominic came home at 2 a.m., blood on his shirt and a knife wound on his shoulder. I didn't scream, didn't panic, just guided him to the bathroom and pulled out the first aid kit Rosa had taught me to stock. "It's not deep," he said as I cleaned the wound. "Shut up and let me work." My hands were steady as I disinfected and bandaged, muscle memory from a year of watching Rosa tend his injuries. "Who was it?" "Marchetti soldiers. Retaliation for a shipment we intercepted." "Did you kill them?" "Yes." I should have felt something. Horror, disgust, moral outrage. Instead, I just felt relieved he was alive. "I need you to say it," I whispered, taping the bandage in place. "Tell me you love me. Not that you're obsessed, not that I'm yours. Tell me you love me." His hand caught my chin, forcing me to meet his dark eyes. "I love you. So much it terrifies me. So much I'd burn this entire city down if someone hurt you. I don't know if what I feel is love or madness." He pulled me against him, mindful of his injury. "With us, it's the same thing. 20 months. That's how long it had been since Dominic first walked into my bookstore with his perfect suit and dangerous eyes. 8 months of surveillance I hadn't known about. 12 months of marriage that had transformed me from a struggling bookseller into someone I barely recognized. Someone stronger. I stood in the conference room of Santoro Imports, the legitimate side of the family business, reviewing quarterly reports with our accounting team. The men who'd initially balked at taking orders from Dominic's little wife now listened when I spoke. They'd learned quickly that I had my husband's ear and his absolute trust. More importantly, they'd learned I had a mind for numbers and no tolerance for incompetence. "The harbor contract needs renegotiation," I said, pointing to the discrepancies I'd found. "These fees are inflated by 30%. Either our contact is skimming or the Baldinis are testing us." My assistant, a sharp woman named Teresa, who'd worked for the family for decades, nodded approvingly. "I'll set up a meeting. Make it public. Neutral territory." I'd learned that lesson well. "And make sure Dominic knows before we move." After the meeting, I stopped by the foundation I'd started 6 months ago, a shelter for women escaping dangerous situations. The irony wasn't lost on me. A woman who'd been forced into marriage now helping others escape theirs. But I understood their world in ways most people couldn't. Understood the violence, the control, the complicated intersection of love and possession. Angela met me there, helping organize donations. "You're good at this," she said, watching me talk to a young mother who'd fled her abusive husband, giving them what you never had, a real choice. "I had a choice," I said quietly. "I chose to stay. After a year of captivity, after a year of understanding what I was choosing. I touched my stomach absently, a new habit. There's a difference. She caught the gesture, eyes widening. Isabella, are you 10 weeks? I smiled at her shocked expression. I haven't told Dominic yet. He's going to lose his mind. I know. The thought made me simultaneously nervous and warm. But this one's different. This baby is planned, wanted, a choice, a making with full knowledge of what kind of world they're being born into. That evening, a crisis emerged. A Marchetti lieutenant had been caught on our territory, trying to buy off one of our dock supervisors. Normally, Dominic would handle it. But he was in meetings across town, and the situation required immediate attention. I handled it myself. Walked into that warehouse with Marcus and 3 other guards. Faced down a man twice my size who thought he could intimidate Dominic's pampered wife, and negotiated a solution that avoided bloodshed while making our position clear. Tell Gianna that the next time she sends someone to test me, I won't be so diplomatic, I said, watching him leave with his tail between his legs. Marcus actually smiled. Mrs. Santoro, you've learned well. I had an excellent teacher. Dominic was waiting when I got home, leaning against the kitchen counter with that look that still made my pulse race, possessive, proud, hungry. I heard about the warehouse, he said. And you're magnificent. He pulled me against him, hands sliding to my waist. Dangerous, fierce, everything I knew you could be. You're still watching me, I murmured against his lips. Always. His hands spread across my stomach, and I wondered if he could sense the change there. But now you're watching me back. Good. That means you can't escape either. I pulled back slightly, taking his hand and pressing it more firmly against my belly. We need to talk. Understanding dawned in his dark eyes. Isabella, I'm pregnant. The words came out steady, certain. And before you ask, yes, I want this. Want them. Want this life we've built from obsession and violence and something that might be love. He kissed me then, deep and claiming, like he had that first night I couldn't remember. But this time I was fully present, fully choosing, fully his. I would do it all again, I whispered when we broke apart. The surveillance, the forced marriage, everything, because it led here. To being married to a criminal? To being married to you? I traced the scar above his eyebrow, earned protecting me from some threat I'd never know about. My beautiful, dangerous, obsessive husband who loves me enough to let me become dangerous too. 20 months ago, I'd woken up married to a stranger. Now I stood in his arms, carrying his child, having chosen the darkness willingly. Some fairy tales start with true love's kiss. Mine started with surveillance photos and forced vows. But the ending, the real ending, was written in blood and choice and the fierce, possessive love that burned between us. And I wouldn't change a single frame.